Michigan University's Arts Management Student Organization.
Should say. So copyright's all about original expression. It's satire, not parody, because parody would be fair use. Anyway, so you're an arts management major?
Yeah, so I think everyone in here right now is, this is all of my board. So everyone in here right now is an arts management major, but everyone in arts management, you know, we can all have different interests. Mine specifically is theater. We want to go around right now. We can all say our different interests.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
How about Isabel? You can go first.
Hi, I'm Isabel. I'm
Hi,
the
Isabel.
vice president of AMP.
Oh, cool.
Nice to meet you. And I guess my main interest is like museums and curating.
Wow. So that when you get out of school, you get to work at one and probably have a really good position there?
Hopefully, and maybe like one day I can like have my own museum.
Wow. Like what would it be? What it'd be of what? If you could have anything, a museum of what?
I guess like I would want to do like different events, obviously focusing on like cultural events that are happening to like kind of impact the audience. I feel like that's a good way for like people to like connect with like what's going on through a different medium that's reading, and I think that's something that's really interesting to me.
Oh, cool. That sounds great. Stay in Michigan or go anywhere?
Go anywhere at the moment. We'll see where it takes us. At the moment, I'm really looking into Oregon, like state of Oregon, because they're, yeah, very gorgeous, and I feel like they're very hands-on with the arts and sciences, so.
I bicycled across Oregon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did 3 cross-country trips, and the long one was from Oregon to Nashville. And I was blown away when you see it that slowly at like 15 miles an hour for a few days, you know. It is ridiculously beautiful. It's got deserts, it's got pine forest, it's got just everything, you know, ocean.
Right, my stepdad actually biked cross country across the United States, so I want to see if he has any input about Oregon and stuff like that. And yeah.
Oh, if he's done it, he'll rave about it.
Yeah.
You can't not be impressed with Oregon, you know.
Right.
Oh, that's cool. Well, nice. So, and who else is here?
Krista, do you want to say?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Krista. I am the intern here.
Oh, okay.
My major is art and entertainment management and then a minor in entrepreneurship. But my main focus, I actually really love music. I make music on the side. I record music. I guess I'll call myself an R&B artist.
Oh,
so I'm really excited what you have to share for us today.
Oh, good. Do you make beats? So when you say you make music?
No, I'm a singer.
Singer, okay.
Yeah, I play the keyboard a little bit. I have a guitar. I was taking guitar lessons, but it's been hurting my fingers and I haven't had enough determination to continue, so.
Guitar's I'm a guitarist, and it's unforgiving if you lay off for a while. It's like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
These are gone.
Yeah, they tell me you gotta build your fingertips up and everything, so
yeah.
I'm like, mine are too soft.
Yep. Well, cool. Well, it's nice to meet you.
You too.
Maya, do you want to share?
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm the treasurer of AMP. Arts and Entertainment Management is my major, and I'm minoring in marketing. And my interest is theater.
Cool. Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And, oh, I see someone named Susan Booth. Hello,
Hey. Hey, Michael. How are you?
Susan. Great.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. This is fun.
We're super excited to have
I'm
you.
having the best week, you know, just everything's going great. And, you know, I even dressed up. Look at this. I mean,
Nice.
I spoke to the New York Intellectual Property Law Association. We had a run through of it the week before. And then it was last week. And it had like Denny Chin, who's the head judge on the Second Circuit in New York. He did the Google Books case. Wow. He's a real big deal. And when we did our run through, one guy was in a suit and he apologized. He said, I just taught a course. You know, so, okay. So then I assumed we're all going to be slobs. Like, oh no, they weren't. And so I ran and got a coat, you know, and like.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Dressed for your event.
Yeah.
So where are you? Are you in New England now?
No, I'm in Nashville.
Okay, so you're still in Nashville. That's great.
Yeah, I left. I mean, I left in, oh, when did I leave? Like '08. And I
Okay.
went to a school in New Jersey, William Patterson, for 4
Mhm.
years. And I was there to make sure, it was my mom's last 4 years of life, you know. So I was taking care of her a lot, and she was
Yep.
great. And then after she died, I decided, well, I spent a year on the ocean. I rented a house on the beach. It was nuts, up in Massachusetts.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, that was just gorgeous, you know. And then after that, I started thinking, like, I'm kind of missing Nashville, the music industry.
Right.
So, you know, my friends said, come on back, and I did. And then I started doing Berkeley online. They asked me
Yeah, I
to,
saw that. That looks really interesting.
oh, it's so much fun. Yeah. I got, in one class alone, I have students from 149 countries.
Oh, wow.
The new country is the Sudan, you know, in Northern Africa. It's just so I'm having a great time with that, and I do a lot of cases, and so I can stay put. I'm safe, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go to the woods, and when I
Oh,
see
my
I
goodness.
hike every day. When I see someone, I slap on the mask, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. It is crazy right now.
Yeah, I'm taking
Yeah.
this stuff seriously.
Indeed. So have you met everybody?
No, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Brittany, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi there. I'm the graduate assistant for AMP and graduate assistant for arts entertainment or arts management and administration. I also work at U of M at the School of Music, Theater, and Dance in the Office of Engagement and Outreach there.
Oh, excellent. Cool. Very nice. So good,
Nice to
good to
meet
meet you. Yeah.
Okay, so Caroline, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Caroline. Arts and entertainment management major as well with a marketing minor.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd mostly do theater and sing, so I guess those are my arts.
Very good. Well, it's nice to meet you, Caroline.
too.
Caroline, I'm sorry, it was Caroline. I hope I said that right.
It's okay.
Okay, I know we had some new people join us. So Sydney, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. I am Sydney Anderson. I'm a first-year graduate student in the arts admin program. I work in comedy and improv, but I kind of specialize in improvised music. So I'm interested in talking to you about satire and like the exceptions in satire law. So I'm looking forward to this.
So much of that. So I've got one or two ready tonight.
Awesome.
I could dish up more, you know. And then another time we could just speak too. So
Sounds great.
oh my
Thank
God,
you.
that's my subject. So yeah. Neat. So
Awesome.
okay.
Dante, do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, yes. My name's Dante. I am arts administration major. I am a grad student, and I also am a musician. I'm excited to see my favorite Beatles album in your presentation.
Oh, good, good, yeah.
So that's
Excellent.
pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, nice. Nice to meet you. Good, good. Yeah, well, I'll play a funny song from there. Funny for the point I'm making. So cool.
Awesome. And then Jacob?
Hi, I'm Jacob. I'm in my 4th year as a music performance major with a minor in arts and entertainment management.
Great. Nice to meet you, Jacob. Oh, this is great. Well, cool. So I guess I could get started. And is that everyone?
We just had Olivia join us if she wants to introduce herself. It just hit 6:30.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's right. I'm 5:30. We're behind. You know,
Sorry.
in more ways than one. It's Tennessee. Oh, hi, Olivia.
Her audio looks like it's not working.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I forgot to attach my microphone. Hello, sir. My name's Olivia, and I'm a freshman in Arts and Entertainment Management.
Great. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Okay. Oh, and one thing I want to do is definitely get questions from you. At some point, pretty soon, I'll be calling on you. But if you have questions, just interrupt, you know.
Yes, everyone. If you guys want to put things into the chat for any questions, Krista will be our chat master tonight, our intern for AMP. Krista, she will be looking through the chat for questions. And if Michael then asks for questions throughout as well, then we can take questions.
Yeah, I've got these 3 things in a row where you're going to be the jury, you know, or the consultant. So, Yeah, you're playing law tonight. So, okay, well, I guess I'll get started. I got the name right, didn't I? So that's you. And my company, emichaelmusic.com. And I also own the website copyrightandmusic.com, which is insanely valuable. It came up one day and I grabbed it, you know. I own about 15 websites, URLs, I should say. So copyright's all about original expression. Patents are about inventing things. Trademark is about trademark is about not confusing us, the consumer, about the origin of goods or services. Trademarks can last forever. Copyright lasts your life plus 70 years. Patents can only go 20 years. So I deal with all those, but the big word with copyright, it's a 140,000 word law. The big word is original. The more original the expression, the more protection it gets. And that's an enormous point. So let's evaluate original expression. And here we go. Who let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
Is it original yet?
Who let the dogs out?
The words on their own aren't, but then the hoo, and then it comes back.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
This is the kind of thing I have to do. I have to get into the nuts and bolts and say, how much did you copy it? At what point does that become original expression? So here's a great one. The Flintstones theme, the opening words, which you may know, you may not. Here it is.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the one Sony family. From the town of Bedrock, they're a big new story.
I mean, it's yabba dabba doo. Like, you know, that's just silly, but that's not French. It's not German. It's made up stuff. So it's very original. In the words, Flintstones meet the Flintstones, those 4 words. Well, that's not an old English folk song. So it's extremely original. The pitches aren't all that original. Da, bum, ba, 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 bum. Because meet the Flintstones. I did that and this conductor just went nuts. Like, how dare you? You shouldn't be saying this, you know? So I'd argue you could probably copy it. And Dante, I think you had said this about, it's one of those songs, and here's the song, very original words. I am the walrus.
I love this song.
Goo goo goo. I was against the Beatles in a case once. That's a long story, but my friend was telling me, yeah, good luck, Michael. You have to show the Beatles are not original. I said, well, it wasn't quite that, but. Okay, and copyright does not protect slogans or expressions or short phrases. So I would ask you, is the 2 words I know copyrightable? The answer is no, right? Until say I know. He said I know 26 times. If you said it 19 times in a song, I would think there could be trouble. If you said it 8 times, I don't think there's trouble. You see what I mean though? Like, at what point is it Bill Withers' expression? And how about the words all right? Saying all right a few times. Here we go. And could they be sued by this group who did it earlier? So who knows, these are both the same group. right? This is 3 years earlier, I think. So can you be sued for infringing yourself? What do you think? The answer is yes, you can. Because what happens is, say we creative people, we want to write, and then we want to deal with the business. So we give our copyright to a publisher. The publisher owns it, and the publisher goes and hustles it, exploits it, tries to make money. So you say you have a falling out with your publisher, and then you get a new one, and 10 years later you got new, you moved on with your life. Your publisher could sue you for infringing yourself if your new stuff is too much like your old stuff. And that's actually happened. So
is that relevant? Like if there's an artist and they were on a major record label and then they leave, like, is there any relation in that?
Yeah, it can happen that way. Yep.
Okay.
The big example I'm thinking of is John Fogerty, who was in a group called Creedence Clearwater Revival. You probably heard all their music, but why is this not forwarding? What is going on here? So yeah, it's happened. And right now, Taylor, let me stop sharing for a minute just to see like what is going on with this thing. Okay, wait, do I all have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get back to share. For some reason, this wasn't advancing. I didn't want to get into that nonsense. Okay, so let me go back to this. I'll probably do the smaller version so you can see what's coming and I can see the dates, 2000. Now, if I was the expert witness in this case, this is what I do for a living. I work for a lot of different artists. And so if I had to defend them, I would say, well, let's look at this example. Here's an earlier All Right. That'd be close enough, And there have been lawsuits over such stupid stuff. I'm going to try play slideshow again. I didn't learn my lesson. So this one, these are cats and cats meow. And I was at a case one time where the other side said, well, it's unusual for something in a song to take place 15 times or 20 times. Why would it be repeated that much? So I had the expression of like, here, hold my beer. And I had to prove to the court, like, oh yeah, it does. So here's one of my best examples, was this. Those are the exact lyrics. Makes from Fury. So, 50 times in 15 seconds. I use David Bowie. He sings Fame. That wasn't all 57, but I was Busta Rhymes expert. We had a great lawsuit. We were sued by Sugar Hill Gang and we won. That was kind of neat. But he says yaw 80 times. I will play them. If you know the name of the song, if you know what's coming. There's a big lawsuit over woo-ha right here. That was a 24-hour-a-day thing for a while. Bulworth, this is the best example. This is 512 examples of Zoom. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I got my mind up. Come on. Get into it. Let it ride. So we won the case. But that was one of the points, like if the other side brings up something, you have to counter it. Like if no matter what they bring up, if you let it go unchallenged, then it's accepted as a fact. And there's a real lawsuit over this, comma versus comma. Okay, one had the chorus of comma and one had the chorus of comma. And here's the plaintiff's song. handyman. And then came later. This is who got sued. So it seems silly, but you know, do you agree that that would be a problem? You know, again, it's not poetry. It's not great literature. It's not Shakespeare. It's comma, comma versus comma, comma. So they settled because they were going to win, the plaintiff. Because even though it's just goofy, you know, in a writing class in college, if you come up with the chorus, comma, 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 your professor's not going to say, oh, you're a great writer, you know. So here's something that happens too. You ask for advice if you want to use copyrighted material. All of you, by the way, break the copyright law. You break it every week. You're required to break it. And by that, I mean, when you write a paper, it's not supposed to be all your feelings from your head, 100%. You have to use other sources. So what you do is you just find the source, you copy it. You steal from an unauthorized way from someone else's copyrighted work. You stick it in your work with, you do an attribution, right? But that's breaking the copyright law. However, it's called fair use. It's, in other words, our government gives exclusive rights to the authors, but then we start to roll them back and say, wait, however, there are times you should just ignore it. Like writing a paper, you know, you're not going to write to the publisher and hear back. So here's what happened one time. Someone asked for advice, and they said they were told no by the copyright owner. Then they asked me for advice, and I said yes. So who's right, the copyright owner or me? And I'll claim it's me. So it was an orchestral composer in New York. He wanted to throw this silly theme from an old Nestle's commercial, 10 minutes buried into his composition somewhere, the big orchestral composition. This is what he wanted to do.
Nestle's makes the very best chocolate.
And him trying to be a nice citizen, lawful and respectful of copyrights, he wrote to Nestle's, and strangely, they wrote him back and said no. And then he heard who I was, and he contacted me, and I said, no, do it. And I figured it was probably public domain. It's just a scale. So here's what I found. Makes the very best chocolate. Nestles. And then in octaves. So once I showed him that, he was thrilled. He used it. You know, just ignore Nestle's. And because those are the notes, scale steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. You know, simple as can be. It's public domain. So if it's in the public domain, you can use it. And generally speaking, if something's created before 1925, it's very likely in the public domain. But there could be another version of it. There's all kinds of interesting issues. I work in advertising a lot, and Detroit is one of the world's headquarters for advertising. I don't know if you know that. New York, a lot. Detroit, LA. But Detroit is my favorite of the places. And Dallas is pretty good too. And so copyright comes up, intellectual property, that's copyright, trademark, patents. And there's also something called right of publicity. And I'll get into that in a minute. In copyright, in advertising, you don't use the C word. The C word is copy. You use the I word. You say you want to reference something. You don't, even in phone conversations, because it's also legal. You know, because advertisers are doing their very best to skirt the copyright law and to steal and get away with it, you know. So I got this great call from a company that the United States Postal Service had contacted. And it was this, what became known as the creepy clown commercial. And it became really famous. It was a big product, and it had me incredibly nervous. So what I got from the ad agency, I had to say can they do it or not? And you usually have a few hours to make the decision because it's all fast and intense. So they wanted to copy the music of the shower scene of Psycho. These strings going. She's getting stabbed, and I'm saving you the gore, you know? Like that. And that was a fascinating question for me, like, oh my God, that's difficult. Is that copyrightable expression or not? You can't look it up in a book. I have to be the expert in this. So here's the commercial. They just sent me the audio. They hadn't filmed it yet. Because if I say, go ahead, then they film it. And if I say don't, then they go on to a different ad campaign. So here's what it ended up being.
What's going on? Well, we ordered a gift online, and we really need to do something with it. I'm just not sure what. What is it? Well, just return it. Returning gifts is easier than ever with priority mail flat rate boxes from the Postal Service. If it fits, it ships anywhere in the country for a low flat rate. Plus, I can pick it up for free. Perfect, because we have to get that out of this house. Come on, it's not that big. Oh, yeah, that's got to go.
Priority mail flat rate shipping starts at $4.95, only from the Postal Service. A simpler way.
So all I got were those strings that, you know, the strings that you heard. So I end up quickly deciding in a few hours that, yeah, it's not copyrightable. And I use this as a reference. It's not just my opinion that matters. I have to give them acoustic and or sonic and or musical reasons. So here are my two best examples. One was Bartok. That's pretty good. That's from the 1920s, but my favorite example ever. Everyone loved this when I gave this example. I found it in Vivaldi's Four Seasons Violin Concerto, the slow movement, and you'll hear it. It's quiet. Keeps building. Now you're gonna hear it, right here. The grace notes, they did it. That's it. It's Psycho 1725, you know. So that won it for us. And they aired the commercial and didn't get sued. So far, I'm batting 100% with ads. Because if you screw up, it's awful. I mean, it'd be the end of you. One of the things that takes place in advertising is called right of publicity. And we all have it. With famous people like these guys, this is the Turtles. It is, you can't remind the audience. Well, when it comes to advertising, you have the right to say, no, I don't endorse this car or this restaurant or this product. So here's the Turtles song that got used. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say really famous, Happy Together. Imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together. The guy with the glasses and the frizzy hair is my neighbor and friend. And then this is what happened. Imagine steak and shrimp, or shrimp and steak. Imagine having both of these on just one plate. For me and you, a choice of shrimp and juicy steak. So happy together, so happy together. And what happened was the Turtles, those friends of mine, Howard, that's Mark Volman lives nearby, and Howard Kalin, they were getting all this hate mail and hate phone calls, like, you guys suck, you hippies, you ruined that song, my wife and I got married to it, it means everything to me, and you threw it away for this stupid thing. But the deal is, they didn't write it. The Turtles did not, that's not their composition. They do own the sound recording. So they have made a lot of money with that, but they didn't own the composition. So they don't own the publishing. So what happened is the publisher can just dish that song out to people and they can re-record it. And Mark and Howard, who were associated with the song, have no say in it, and they get no money when that takes place. However, their right of publicity was quite infringed, I thought. They asked my decision. So Applebee's gave permission to use it with those stupid new lyrics. So it was, here's what right of publicity is. It's something, these are my way of putting it. It's similar to, it reminds you of something. So we filed, a motion, to do that. And it ended up, they got paid $100,000 for it, and it got taken off the air. You've probably never heard that commercial. It didn't last long, but that's damages. And the problem is it sounds like the Turtles. So this new singer sounds like, he's got like a tenor, almost baritone voice, more a tenor. He sounds like Howard. They should have had some woman sing it, or they should have had a deep bass sing it, or Bob Marley, someone, just some other voice, but not, it confused people into thinking the Turtles had worked for Applebee's. So that's right of publicity, it's not copyright. So here, satire or parody, here we go. It seems to me that people mostly don't understand the two. For example, Weird Al does not do parody, he does satires. So I got contacted by the Houston Rockets. I'm 5'9". It wasn't because of my basketball prowess at all, And what they did, they wanted to use a song by Blondie. Who's 7'5", kind of tall, from China. And they created what they thought was a parody. And at least one lawyer signed off on it, said it's a parody. And someone said, I still don't believe it. Just let's get a musicologist's opinion. They called me. And here's what the Houston Rockets came up with.
Welcome to Clutch City, baby. Guess who's on the scene? It's the Shanghai Tower, baby. He's H-Town's new dream. So bang the gong and beat the drum. Make some noise for Big One.
Said, call me. And right before they aired this, they got in touch with me, and I was like, uh-oh, do I know this? Do I know law well enough to know that, am I right here? And I said, I think it's satire, not parody, because parody would be fair use, and it is. So they didn't get to air. So here's the action verbs to think about when it's parody. So you take from something. Yao Ming does not comment, criticize, or ridicule Blondie's Call Me. It doesn't. It takes her words and makes them funny about a different subject. It's no longer, it's not commenting on her song or criticizing or ridiculing. That's our First Amendment at work. And that's not it. That's not an example of it. A parody will do this. It'll do that. It takes from something and throws it right back in its face. And that didn't throw it back in its face. So it's not parody. And they believe me, and they kind of saved them some trouble, I think. A parody aims at the original work. A satire aims at another work. Parody is protected free speech. It's our First Amendment. Satire is not protected expression. It's usually considered an unauthorized derivative work. Okay. How does that people follow that? I'll give you a wonderful example of a parody. And this, I got the phone call to get involved with this one. This was the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And here's the target. Okay, this was the Super Bowl ad. And I was appalled. And I think you see why.
If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. By giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great. You don't have to know about Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know the theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics in physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace. Soul generated by love.
So there's definitely copyright in those words. You know, words can be copyrighted, and that's original. It's substantial in length. It's not a little, you know, I know thing. Okay, so they had permission from the Martin Luther King estate, and they had permission for his right of publicity, his right of personality, all the personal stuff. But look what it was for. It was to sell a Dodge Ram truck, and I was angry. I just pissed off. Like, damn it, do not do something as profound as Martin Luther King to sell I'm almost saying the F-bomb. I was so damn mad. And then look what happened. This is incredible. This is deserved.
The presence of this instinct explains why we are so often taken by advertisers. You know, those gentlemen of massive verbal persuasion. And they have a way of saying things to you that kind of gets you in the bind. In order to be a man of distinction, you must drink this whiskey. In order to make your neighbors envious, you must drive this type of car. In order to be lovely to love, you must wear this kind of lipstick or this kind of perfume. And you know, before you know it, you're just buying that stuff. I've got to drive this car because it's something about this car that makes my car a little better than my neighbor's car. I am sad to say that the nation in which we live is the supreme culprit. And I'm going to continue to say it to America.
That's so well done. And they were furious, and they threatened to sue. So this great attorney called me. He said, Michael, let me show you something. Look at this. And I said, oh, wow. They said, you know, you want to know if I'm on board? I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, because I'd watched the game, you know. And then they backed down because they were going to lose, because this is parody. This is casting it right back at it and really attacking it. It shows what Martin Luther King himself thought of advertising, you know, and I've got to drive this kind of vehicle, this kind of car, you know, and to upset your neighbor. So anyway, that's, I think, a phenomenal example. I've been involved in several. One time CBS Evening News, CBS, the big corporation, we're going to sue a guy from Columbus, Ohio. And I got involved with that, and we won. They backed down. And I've been involved in the Dixie Chicks. Dixie Chicks took 3 words, and they got sued for 3 years over 3 words. So things can happen. Okay, now this is, I want your opinion. Did Taylor Swift, you know who she is? Yep. Did she infringe this great Canadian band called Hey Ocean? Cool group. And here's the score. And if you don't read music, that's fine. But on top is Islands. That's Hey Ocean. And joined next to it is Wonderland below it. That's Taylor Swift. And if you just look at it, you can see, well, they are kind of similar, you know, how they kind of line up. All right. So let me play it. And first you'll hear Islands by Hey Ocean. We could build an island.
We could build an island. You and I could swim beside where we could ride the tides until we fall asleep at night. We could build an island. You and I could swim beside where we could ride the tides until we fall asleep at night.
That's the chorus. Let me play it again because it happens a lot.
Build an island, you and I could swim beside where we could
it's a 4-minute song and 2 minutes is the chorus, so it's substantial. So now here's Taylor Swift on Wonderland.
Wonderland, you and I got lost in it, and we pretended it could last forever. We found Wonderland, you and I got lost in it, and life was never worse, but never better.
So what do you think? Dante, you think, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I think the melody is the same. I mean, yeah, the words are different, but it's the same type of vibes.
But I would argue that the words are pretty similar. I mean, like that the song is talking about the same themes. And so because it's thematically similar, I feel like yes.
Yeah, that's true too. You're
right. Island and Wonderland, we found, we could, you and I at the same rhythmic spot, almost the same pitches, same chords. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, just looking at the notes. I used to be in band and play the flute and everything, so these are very familiar to me. But even the notes and the way they go, they're very, very similar. But I noticed Islands and Wonderland. Wonderland is just a little bit lower, but literally the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. So it's okay. It sounds like you would side with the plaintiff, Hey Ocean, and suing Taylor Swift, and that's what I did. I've worked for Taylor Swift this time. Oh, by the way, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a professor of law. I've created law classes. Harvard Law School calls me an expert in copyright law, but I'm not a lawyer. I've just worked in stuff for 30 years, and I think I'm fairly good at it, but I'm not a lawyer. So and that's a huge advantage to me. So I can work for Taylor Swift and against Taylor Swift, and for Sony and against Sony. I've been for Lady Gaga, and I've been against Lady Gaga, you know? And her old boyfriend, the guy who signed her and everything, he's a friend of mine. What a mess, you know? So where a lawyer could never, if you worked against Sony, you can never work for Sony, never. Your life's over, you know? So, and I never have that conflict. So that's an advantage I have. But anyway, so any other thoughts? But so I worked for them and they settled. The judge had like an emergency phone call. I was in Nashville. And he called my boss and said, Michael, a judge wants to talk to you. I said, oh, so leave the class and talk to the judge. And it got taken care of. It got settled.
So in this case, would you say that the phrases carry more weight than the rhythms and the syncopations?
No, I think they're all together.
Sure.
I think like here, it's hitting the jackpot. There's a lot here.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, Taylor Swift did not write it. You know, she writes some of her stuff, a lot of things she doesn't. In fact, we're about to get to another Taylor Swift one in a minute. But yeah, I mean, what did you think? I didn't see who asked that. Did you think one was more? I've heard all kinds of great things from you, like, okay, it's the same kind of theme and the notes are the same and the, you know.
I was in bands too, and I love jazz, so I'm really into looking at the percussion and the rhythm of it, and I was just noticing the similarities in the syncopation, and that's where my eye was drawn to first.
Oh, good, good. And I wanted to notate it that way, with red, with boxes, and with circles. I think it would help. Because judges, you don't get a musical judge. You hardly ever do, you know. They have to have stuff explained to them, you know. You even have to tell them it's the correct court to file in. Because copyright is federal. It's a really big deal. You start out in district court, you go to the circuit court, and all of you are in Michigan, I'm in Tennessee. We're the same circuit. We're the Sixth Circuit. We're the dumb ones on sampling, by the way. We're the stupidest in the nation, the Sixth Circuit. And it took place, well, we can get to that, but. Well, let me do another one, co-writing. This involves Taylor Swift. And the question is, should there be 2 writers or 3? You could give them 3 equal. You could go 40, 40, 20. You could, you know, you could write off the 3rd one. So here's the song. Here's the chorus. Now she says it 4 times. What I really like about that is it's that rhythm. It's a strange rhythm. It's on pitches 3 and 2, 3 and 2, 3 and 2, and it's never, ever, ever, right? So 2 people took credit for writing it, even though 3 had written it. They said to the third one, you don't count. Your contribution's not important. They wrote him off. Now, this is what he contributed. Should he have gotten credit? Yeah, Dante, I agree. I mean, he says the words. He says the words with those pitches and that rhythm that's so unusual. There's no other Taylor Swift song like that. First time I heard it, just as a person listening, I thought like, who the hell? That's one cool rhythm. It's kind of like Prince, you, I would die for you, that song of Prince, like the same pitches even, but. And then 4. So he does it in groups of 4 and in groups of 3. So I think you can see where I sided. What do you think? What are your feelings? I mean, it's the chorus, right? It is.
Yeah, it's the main part of the song. So, I mean, I think he definitely should have got credit because that's what makes her song catchy, that part.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I went back and forth on this because I hate siding with, I work for defendants way more often because I think there's so many plaintiffs are nuts, you know. But this was like, okay, a great lawyer contacted me, that I've worked with in New York a lot. I said, oh, okay. Well, if it's at his level, you pay more attention. And then I got thinking like you did, like what you said, you know, it is the hook. And here's a practical deal. A Taylor Swift song that you've written 50% of, these 2 splitting 50%, that's an awful lot of money. That's like, you can retire. You really can retire, right? What if you only made 33% of a Taylor Swift hit song? You can retire, period. That's just it. You know, so why were they stupid to begin with? You know? Here's another one. This involves a Super Bowl too. You all know who Carrie Underwood is and Ludacris, right? And the question is, do they infringe this woman named Kirsten Arian? And they both, okay, it's a woman singing, it's Carrie and it's Kirsten. They both sing the chorus and it says these 5 words: I am invincible, unbreakable, unstoppable. Like, you know any other songs that say that? That seems, okay, both are women, it's the chorus of both, and it's the same 5 words. That's what we're up against, okay? So here's the potential plaintiff, Kirsten Arian. It's a big song, it was in the Lego Batman movie. So here it is. And then here's Carrie. So here it again. One more time. So what do you think?
Oh, they obviously stole it, I feel. Especially, like, the words are in the same order. Had they maybe shaken up the order, like, maybe you could argue, but they're in this exact same order.
And on top of that, I feel like Carrie Underwood, she has children, so she might have even seen the Lego movie and like thought about it afterwards.
Good thought. Yeah, yeah. Very good thought. Wow. Good. Okay, any other thoughts?
The second time I heard it, I kind of was a little on the fence about it. It did start out kind of similar, but it did change. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me too, Krista. The ending was different. So that is a difference between the two for sure. So that was something that I did notice the second time that I didn't notice the first time.
And with Carrie's piece, to Brittany's point, it's invincible, unbreakable, unstoppable, unshakable. And so maybe is like that the set instead of, and that's why maybe there's some undecided there, because like she does say all of the words, but Carrie continues with this phrase, it's not complete yet.
So what side did I come down on? You think
Lego movie.
I came down on the Lego, no, I came down Carrie Underwood's side. It's not infringement.
Oh.
And I'll explain why. Because those words are really not as significant as you think. Because you got ibble, ubble, ubble. You're not going to suddenly throw in the word orange or June or moon or toy or boy. You're in the ibbles and ubbles. So I got thinking of the earlier songs that might have these words. Because by the way, the melodies are not that close at all, right? So let me give you the examples I used as evidence. Earlier. 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 And still earlier, the big bang of pop music, Bon Jovi. And his melodically is so much like hers. You know, his was very like. An honorable mention goes to Jay-Z. So here's what you heard. These are the songs. And I played them back in that order because that's what I should do. So there, and this came really close. They had a cease and desist ready to go because that was going to premiere in the Super Bowl. And it's like, they believed me. They listened to me, and they didn't do the lawsuit. So I think it's independent creation. I think you can come up. It's the rhyming of the ipples, ibbles, and ubbles. You know, once you get in that world, you kind of do it. Here's an example. Here, I'll throw at you an idea. How to write a hit song. Use lyrics like these, maybe. How about this? Principle, invisible, imperceptible, inexpressible. Does this sound like a good rock song, doesn't it? Insusceptible, inflexible, connectable, invincible. Like what? That was 1 ipple and 7 ibbles. Could these go in a rock song? And maybe add a word. Let's add a word. Connecting principle, linked to the invisible, almost imperceptible, something inexpressible, science insusceptible, logic so inflexible, causally connectable. There's a grad student for you. Causally connectable. Nothing is invincible. Would this be good for a rock song? This is a way to make a lot of money? Oh, you need one chord. You got to play something, and you need a band. So here it is.
That's synchronicity. I know that.
Yeah. It's the first song, Synchronicity 1. So, questions or comments? Was I able to convince you that it's probably not infringement?
How do you feel like at a certain point, do you feel like you have like a music library in your head? So if somebody asks you like, is this infringement? You can say, well, these 3 songs did it. Like, it seems like after a while you would have sort of like a library.
I have a good memory for music, you know, and I've created over 30 classes, and I've bought 11,000 CDs, and I've transcribed about 60,000 pieces, and then I put them in numbers into 2 databases of mine. So I could show you those if you want to see how I do it. But it's mainly just going to bed and being bothered by it. Like if I'm in a case, like I'm bothered, like, oh God, I can't, you know, like I forget to eat, I forget to do anything. So I don't know if I have it in my, I mean, I've got a bunch of things in my head, but it's, you know, so I could show you that if you want to see how that works. But
that's cool. I can imagine that is it like a database that you have with like keywords?
Yeah, let me show it to you.
Okay.
Let's see if I do. Okay, like I'll show you the one is easier to get to. Let me do a new share, and this should be, this is going to be, if it opens up. Okay, so for example, say if I want to find dot dot dum 135, I enter that, and dot dot dum. Those are some songs. So my title, if you look at my title of Indian Summer, that's what the title looks like. 358, 358, 351, 35, 135. Arpeggiated along 1 chord, major 7th chord. So I could find all these things this way. This is my trade secret.
Did you label these, or did
What's
they
that?
come labeled?
I didn't hear
Did you
you.
label them like this?
Oh, yeah, I did. This is my work. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm nuts. I work a lot. Like whenever I'm driving or doing anything, if I hear something, I immediately, you know, say to my phone, okay, 8 flat 7 flat 6 5, you know, and I'll note it later in my database. I have 2, and the other database is this big spreadsheet of 15 fields. It's ugly as sin. It's big. It's enormous. And I first started doing this so I could teach music theory better. I didn't know there was I'd have a career in copyright. I fell into this one day. And it was funny, it was the first case of mine, and it was against Billy Ray Cyrus. And they didn't tell me, they just, like this lawyer looked me up and thought, you know, my credentials are good. And she played song A and then song B and said, what do you think? I said, well, the song A came first and song B is recent. And she said, what do you think of the similarity? I said, they're almost note for note the whole thing. And she said, really? And she said, how would you prove that to someone? And I told her, well, I'd transcribe it. I'd do plastic transparencies, lay the notes on, because it was so close. It was like the, what do you call it, the Taylor Swift, maybe even closer. And then she said, you know, we talked more. She said, well, would you be willing to go to court and testify to that? I said, sure. I've watched television like everyone else. I've seen court, you know, Perry Mason or LA Law or whatever, you know. So next thing I know, she tells me, okay, can you write your report in a few days? Yep. And I write it. Next thing I know, Inside Edition called me and they flew to Nashville to interview me, American Journal, all these damn TV shows. And my report was in Billboard. And next thing, so my career began at like a really high level, like in terms of notoriety. And it's like, what in God's name have I gotten myself into? Because I knew nothing about copyright. And then boy, did I have to learn. Because the lawyers at the deposition tried to humiliate me for 2 days. And I just would answer no. They say, you know, do you know this? They'll ask me anything about copyright law. Do you know what the answer is? No. I'm not going to make it up or stutter. Like they're scoring big time. I'm looking like an idiot, except then my lawyers get to ask me questions and I don't look so stupid. And then I said, it was like a course. They taught me so much in 2 days of really hard-hitting questions. And I just sat there, I had my tie on, I'm kind of like this. I'm thinking, next time you guys face me, I'm gonna know copyright law way better than you. Oh, this is personal. There's a bunch of guys there. And I'm like, you know, middle finger time, you know. So I took it really personally. And I can say that I know this stuff pretty well. Because that was, you know, I looked like an idiot for 2 days. It's an awful feeling, you know. So anyway, any things like I didn't talk about sampling. I didn't talk about. If there are questions, yeah, go ahead.
So we have questions up in the chat, and so Krista, if you just want to call on people, all the questions that we've asked in the chat,
Good.
You may have answered some already, but if you want to, you've been looking through the chat, so we can call on people now.
Yep.
Questions.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the chat here, and I'm actually gonna call on your name. So if you guys want to pull up your chat too to look at the question you had,
I very
I'll give
happily
you guys a few.
anything. So.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Maya. Or actually, yeah, I'll let you. You may have already answered this question a little bit with your system you just showed, but if you had anything else, Maya, you can say that.
Yeah, so you did kind of answer it, but like, for example, your first example about like the Flintstone song, like how did you find like that symphony number, whatever it was? Like, how did you go about finding that?
Well, I have my doctorate in music theory and composition, and I've been intense. Like, you know, in my field, you know the 9 Mahler symphonies cold, you know the 9 Beethovens, you know the 41 Mozarts. I did a thing for Samsung. It saved them a ton of money. They were being sued. In this little theme for their most famous ringtone, they were being sued because it was the exact same as this guy from Reverb Nation, an unknown artist. And he had a guy from one of the University of California schools, this big professor, saying, yeah, Samsung stole it. And I started listening to it, and I just laughed. I said, no, it's Haydn Symphony number 104. It's the 4th movement. It was Haydn Symphony 104. So that's the kind of thing in music school, it's hardcore. You just live and breathe this stuff because the competition's severe. And I didn't start out I don't come from a musical family. So classical music wasn't native to me, so I just started to just learn it more. And I love the challenge, you know. Once you learn music, it gets to be more fun. You get to connect all these different styles that seem different. To me, seem all the same. It's just simple, you know. Did I answer your question? Or?
It did, yeah, thank you.
Okay, sure.
All righty, we will go over to Sydney. You had a question about the satire law, fine lines.
Yes. So I am super interested in this because I'm in a musical improv troupe where basically we improvise operas all the way through. It's like a 30-minute show. And a lot of the time we'll end up doing songs that everybody would know. Off the top of my head, I think one time we did Bohemian Rhapsody. And it wasn't any sort of critique on it, but it was just kind of us singing to the tune of it. So I'm interested to hear what your take is on that, because we regularly do that. That's kind of part of our show.
I think you should. I think if you're going to perform it, see, it's what are you doing with it? If I'm assuming you're going to perform it one time or perform it a few times that week, I'm going to guess you're not recording and selling it.
Nope, it's on the spot. It'll happen one time and one time only. It's part of our show.
No problem. Just do it.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's because it's on the spot and we're not like advertising it as we're going to make money off of it.
Yes, exactly. See, what it comes down to are damages. And I'll tell people, like they'll say, these guys, came in, like, I'm in Nashville. Everyone goes to hear everyone's songs so they can steal them. You know? It's wild. But like, how much money did they make? Let's say they stole your song, right? They got the best ideas, right? And they sold 1,000 copies. Is that worth pursuing? Absolutely not. The lawyer's $400 an hour. I'm more, you know, I mean, it's just like, what, you know, because I do plenty of things for free because I just like helping people, you know. But you don't really get in trouble till there's a sizable amount of money involved.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Thank you for that.
Yo, let me just show you something. The copyright law, most things are answered. It's Title 17 of the United States Code. There's 54 titles. 18 is in the law. It tells you not to murder people, not just the 10 Commandments or your parents. No, it's Title 18, right? So chapter 1 is cool. You go to this part, right? 106 is the 6 exclusive rights we have. This thing right here, just from 106, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those 6 rights have taken 200 years to develop. This one came in 1995. But now here's the fun part. 107 is what all of you have always done. You have always infringed copyright when you write a paper, always, and you will continue to. And this is the section that lets you do it. This is a limitation on those rights. It's called fair use. And you consider 4 things, at least. One is, what's the purpose and character of your use? You are in this category, nonprofit educational, right? What's the nature of the work you're taking from? Well, it's either fact or fiction. When you copy facts from a newspaper, no problem, right? If you copy a poem, more of a problem. The third one is huge. It's what's the amount you're taking? And what's the substantiality? I mean, is it very original? Like, I only took the words Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. Well, it's only 4 words, but it's quite substantial. It's quite original, you know?
Yeah.
And number 4 is big. This is what the Dixie Chicks, this always comes up. What's the effect of your use on the potential market for the song? Like, you copied so much and you made it so much better, it's going to hurt the original. So the judges and people like me and the attorneys, you weigh those things carefully. And that's called fair use. That's a huge consideration, you know. And I lean heavily towards what's called copy left, like quit suing over little stuff. I'm really one who has a pretty liberal, wide policy on that. I tend to think you should be able to take 3 words. The Dixie Chicks took "I'll Fly Away." It was 2.7 seconds. It was on those notes, and they wanted $20 million from them for that little utterance. Like, isn't that called the amount being small? You know, like 2.7 seconds out of their 5-minute song, and you want 20 million from them because they're rich, you know, because they made a lot. So anyway, any other questions or comments on?
Let's go to, Dominique.
Hi, I'm actually a visual artist and I post a lot of my work on social media. So I was just wondering what your best advice would be to me.
Well, first, be comfortable. Don't be fearful. Don't be nervous. It is copyrighted from the moment of creation. Assuming any of you took notes tonight, you've created a copyrighted work. It's 2 things. It's original to you. It's from your head. And the second important thing is it has to be fixed in a tangible format. Like if I said, I wrote the most beautiful epic poem last night, then, okay, well, he did. It's original. Oh, prove it. Let's see it. Well, I can't. It's in my head. And if you're a musician, any of you musicians, and if you're just improvising, press record. That makes all the difference in the world. Because it's original because you're inspired and out it comes, you know. If you press record, now it's copyrighted. Without pressing record, it's not copyrighted. So anyway, so back to what you're saying. If you post stuff, God, it's so easy to copy and steal. So, I mean, you can't stop that. We're not North Korea, you know, they don't have electricity at night, you know. So it can technically be copied, but you own it. Like I don't know if you see this painting behind me. It's this beautiful painting a friend of mine did for me years ago. And it's in my house now. I could go destroy it. I could like, you know, just do terrible things to it. Physically, I could. And technically, I'm in a huge trouble because I physically own it. She owns the copyright. I don't. I can get in huge trouble for doing that. And they can get in trouble for stealing your work of visual art that you uploaded. Oh, by the way, here we are at 107, right? Am I still sharing the law here? So go to this part right here called 106A. And this is you art people, you people who do what are technically called works of visual art. You have more copyrights and stronger copyright than songwriters and composers do. You got 106A. So you have the rights of attribution and integrity. Say I took someone's painting and say it's in three big things. Like I got high ceilings, but say it's even taller or one of them doesn't fit. So I say, I'm not going to display 3, I'm going to display 2. I've ruined your integrity because it's not the full large work. Or if I put a mustache on a painting of a woman, you know, I own it at home, I put a mustache on it. Or say we displayed it in a gallery and something blocked the lower right-hand corner where your name is, then your attribution is not there. So this 106A is really cool. This is really cool. This gives you more rights than other people. And so if you're an artist, pay attention to 106 and 106A and 107. Fair use goes back to 1844. And it finally got put in the law in 1976. It's cool as hell. So, any other questions?
Let's go to Dante. He sort of answered your question already, but did you want to expand on that at all, or?
Well, did he? I guess I wasn't paying attention. Well, I was I was listening, but I don't think he. Well, so okay, my question is basically like, okay, I'm a small musician, and I was just wondering like how protected my music is, in the sense of like, I record on like a DAW, it's a digital audio work thing, and then like when you save your music, it's like in the files when it was saved and all that stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I feel like, isn't that like my copyright there? Like, cause I know in the past, maybe like before computers, you probably had to go through like the government or something or send it in maybe.
Exactly. We're still living under 2 copyright laws, the 1909 Act and the 1976 Act. 1976 Act began in January 1, 1978. And what that means is it's some big changes. One is copyright is automatic. It has the 2 things, out of your head and fixed, right? You don't have to send it to the government. The earlier stuff, you had to send to the government,
Okay.
and 28 years later, you had to renew the copyright. And if you didn't renew it in your 28th year because you were too stoned or you said, it's a stupid song, I'm not going to pay for that. Yeah, I was just a kid, it was dumb. Then it goes to the public domain, you lose copyright. So was it 1909? And that 1909 Act's really important. It covers the Beatles, Hendrix, the Doors, Grateful Dead, Neil Diamond, just Barbra Streisand. Just think of everyone who recorded before 1978. Marvin Gaye, the Blurred Lines case, that mess I was in, that was a big issue, was that it was the old copyright law. You know, so no, you're protected automatically. And you also know how long your copyright goes for. It used to be you didn't know because you had to have the formalities. You had to, you know, renew it in time. Now it's the minute you die begins a countdown of 70 years. And so everyone's worth more dead than alive. Not to sound too dramatic and depressing, you know, but once you die, like, oh my God, there's a run on your music, and it just, you know, it goes forever. It benefits people you couldn't even have conceived of. Well, that's a bad pun. I didn't mean it like that. I mean, you couldn't even know they were coming, you know, you're going to have great grandchildren or something. It benefits them.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's a strong message I always like to give to people is don't worry about you being infringed, that someone's going to infringe you or that you've infringed someone. they can be killed off quickly. That's what I do every week. It's because people don't understand copyright. They think that, wait, I broke up with Amy, and then this other person broke up with Amy, 3 years earlier, and that person sues me because how could that one's the only one who could have broken up with Amy and written a song about breaking up with Amy. No, that's an idea, and you could have thousands of songs about an Amy or Erica or just some name, and that doesn't. You don't own the idea. It can be expressed differently. Like a TV show about aliens coming to Earth and becoming friends with the Earthlings. You can write those forever. It's E.T., but it's my favorite Martian. You could express it. That's a big concept. Is you don't own an idea, you own the expression of the idea, and that's a hairy one. That takes a long time to get in the head. So
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, next person. We had a question on sampling from Priest Hamilton.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm.
Are you still in here?
Oh.
Okay, let's try somebody else. This one does not have a name. It just says iPhone, but you guys asked, how manipulated does the sound have to be to avoid copyright infringement? For example, Marvin Gaye's family having a lawsuit against Robin Thicke over blurred lines. How different would that sound have been compared to the original to avoid there ever being a lawsuit?
Well, there's not a set answer. I was in that case, so I know the case way too well. There's no set thing. You can't say, well, I took 7 notes, I took 2 notes, I took 5 words, I took 7 chords. There's no set rule, so it's a case-by-case basis. It comes down to how original is the expression. And when it comes down to that case, I think it's the worst case ever. I think it's just the stupidest. Am I showing, here's Judge Nguyen, she agreed with us at the Ninth Circuit. She said that the other people gave the gays something no one else has ever had before, copyright in a musical style. Because what happened is they're not similar. And she was quoting me here. They differ in melody, harmony, and rhythm, and lyrics, and there's no sampling. There's nothing the same between these songs except it reminds you of, and that's all. It's the reminds you of standard, and it's terrible, Oh, again, I'll show you something fast. I bought this cool book. I kept hearing it was a great book. Can you see this? It's 2 law professors, right? And I'm reading through it, and I love it. It's the history of music told through copyright and intellectual property. And I get to this page, and there I am. I'm with Stevie Wonder, John Legend, Adam Levine, Chris Sprigman, and John Legend. And these two have been my clients, Stevie and Adam Levine. But like, I don't remember saying this, but it sounds like me. I said, if this were to become a standard, it's going to be one of the greatest growth industries of all time, suing people who sound like someone else. And I got interviewed dozens of times about this, and that's likely what I said. So I don't have right of publicity here. I guess I'm public enough that, they could, I was blown away. I said, what in the world? Like, I'm in a book, huh? Especially, and we all agree. Stevie Wonder does, Adam Levine, John Legend, everyone's on the same page. We all thought it was a terrible lawsuit. So the question is, it's case by case. You can't quite make a rule. But this one's terrible, because this one says you can sue just because it reminds you of. There's no melody the same, no words. The meanings of the 2 songs are way different. But it's the same instruments, well, so what? It's Motown. I'm speaking to Motown people. You're in the neighborhood. And it's, anyway, so to answer your question, it's like, you can't really say. It comes down to I was correct, I thought. We lost 2-1 because I was not, well, Howard King, the attorney, said that if we'd had you to begin with, we would have won, which is very flattering. That's not provable, but I like him to say that. But it went to the court. And when it's a jury trial, whatever jury says is pretty sacred. It's in the 7th Amendment of the Constitution, is about juries. And to overturn a jury verdict, they go crazy. They do everything they can to not overturn a jury verdict. And this judge, this is my hero, this woman. I mean, if I want to pin up a beautiful woman on my wall, it's her. She's the greatest because of we agree intellectually. She's tremendous. She's on the 9th Circuit. If you want to know what the circuits are, here they are. So you see, we're in 6 together. You're Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky. So when there's a trial in Nashville and it gets appealed, it goes to Cincinnati. A trial in Detroit, it goes to Cincinnati. In the 9th Circuit, I'm in this a lot. They don't have one court like we do. They've got about 12 because it's kind of huge. It's Alaska, Guam, Hawaii, Montana, you know. And I was born in the 1st Circuit. I grew up there, and I do a lot in the 2nd Circuit. I lived in New York. The 11th is insanely crazy. Florida, that's the 11th, you know. In New Orleans and Texas are the same. That's nuts. And the court got destroyed in Katrina. So there were no trials for 9 months. You know, it was a backlog. So, but if you have a trial in Michigan and it gets appealed, it goes here. And from here it goes to God, which is called the Supreme Court. You know, that's the end. So even if it is this court, oh God. Anyway, any other questions?
We had quite a few, but I'm sure we won't get to all of them. And sorry if I skipped any of your questions who asked 2 questions. I'm just trying to get to everybody so everyone can get their question in. So let's go to Isabel.
Hi. My question, I had no expectations coming into this, so I had a question already thought of, and my question revolves around SOPA. I'm in Susan's cultural policy class, and my group is focusing on SOPA, and I want your opinion on what positive outcomes would have came if SOPA Act was passed.
Well, that and PIPA, the other one, I was hardcore against them. It went too far.
Right.
You know, I thought it was kind of crazy. This idea that every this is what it comes down to philosophically. I call it this: every technology threatens business as usual until it becomes business as usual. You know, when radio got introduced, the sale of records stopped in the 20s. It just ended because there was this magic box, and you turned knobs and dials, and sound came out of it, and recordings. So if you got it for free from the airwaves, why would you buy records? And people stopped.
Right.
Napster stopped stuff. Well, no, it hurt, not as much as radio did. So every technology does this, but it was just too much overkill. You know, and I'm always against the people who really want to pry into your machines. So yeah, I was hardcore against those.
I understand. I was doing some research on it, and for the season's class, we're doing debate. So I'm unfortunately got the side of positive outcomes of it.
I mean, it's good to understand the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's not like they're bad people. You know, I get what they want to do. And if people aren't buying, it's been a tough time. I mean, digital's been tough for a lot of people. God, talk about, then there's COVID. But I mean, digital did some weird things.
Right.
The good things were you're now your own record label if you want. And if you got a good YouTube following, you become rich. I mean, you can do all kinds of things on your own. But the record labels got to be big because they've been there forever. Like terrestrial radio, AM, FM, has got a 100-year, 90-year head start on satellite radio.
Right.
So, I mean, there's all the technology always does some good things, and it hurts too. But all new things get created. You know, I work in artificial intelligence a lot now. That's going to put some people out of business. But it's going to create some jobs too.
Right.
Yeah, if you ever want to talk artificial intelligence, you know, oh my God, I do a lot in that world. That's really funny. Just who's the author. So.
Thank you for answering my question.
Oh, sure. I hadn't thought about that in years. I said, she is saying Sofa, isn't she? Yeah. Stop Online Piracy Act, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we will ask about 2 more questions.
Okay.
Okay, Sherelle.
I'm
Are you still
here.
in here?
Yes, I had a question. Well, I guess it wasn't a question no more because he kind of answered it. But I was just curious, like, I just don't understand how an instrumental can be different than the song, like what the song is about. But because they say the same word, such as the all right, then it's considered as copyright and not inspirational.
I missed something of what you said. The instrumental makes it different?
No, I'm saying like, yeah, that's what I was thinking more so because the instrumental is a different than the other person, but because they use the same word in a song, that it's copyright and maybe not like inspirational or something, where they was inspired by the words.
Well, yeah, I mean, the words have their own protection. And if the words, it depends on what the words are. Like,
Like the all right that you said when we looked at those videos.
Right, like that one. Chances are they're sung to slightly different pitches.
Okay.
And how original saying all right? You say it a few times, well, then you find out someone else had said it a few times. So it depends on what the words are, you know? I was in a case where it was called I Think About You was our song, and we were being sued by someone who wrote a song called I Think About You. And then the plaintiff song, they said, I think about you. And then our song, they said one time, I think about you. And so it's close, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was working for Sony. They had deep pockets. They said, Michael, what can we do to help you? And I thought about it. I said, how about get me a lot of songs from the Copyright Office? Send them to me. I'll analyze them. Because my theory was going to be, we're going to find 20 or 30 songs that say, I think about you, or I think about you. And I was right. We found 30 something songs that said, I think about you, repeated. And we found 20 something that said, I think about you. So the idea was, wait a minute, it's called I Think About You. All of us have said that to some other person.
Mm-hmm.
That's common, right? And da 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 da. Same pitch. Why not? Because da 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 da. It's easy to do. And so that helped win the case. We were trying to say that's too common. That you can independently come up with it. Like, all right, all right, all right. I mean, how many people have said it 3 times? All right, all right, all right. Probably a ton. But when you say it 15 times, like Outkast did, maybe there's a few. There are a few. Like I found the one from the 60s, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Good question.
Okay, question from Brittany.
Well, mine's already kind of been answered, but I just wanted to learn more about how you got to where you are in your career. It's such an interesting and unique career path and the work that you do. So you kind of answered that, so thank you for that. But yeah, that's super interesting. Because I know that you're in higher ed as well and also doing this work. So I was kind of curious how you came to be with musicology. Absolutely makes sense, but
yeah. The funny thing, I mean, living in Nashville helped, you know, because suddenly there's so many songwriters and lawyers and stuff here, and I'm one, like, okay, I have the doctorate, that helps. So the credentials are good. At the time, did I have 10? Yeah, I had tenure, so I was associate professor. I was going to get to the next highest ranked professor. So I had that stuff. I'd worked in a lot of kinds of music playing and a lot of different recordings. So I could talk country, I could talk hip hop. I work in EDM. I work for Calvin Harris and Dead Mouse. You know, I kind of work in almost every style, you know. So, but it's that kind of stuff you need. And then you really have to work. It's very, very difficult. The behind the scenes stuff is tough because you got some great law firm that's been spending months looking for your holes. Like they subpoenaed all my lectures, all my classes. They interviewed students of mine. Of course, they looked for my criminal record. I don't have one. That's nice, you know, because going 5-10 miles over the speed limit, it doesn't make you the worst felon, you know. So, but it's challenging. You got to watch what you say, And it's like if you said, for example, when someone steals 5 words, that's infringement. If I said something like that, then suddenly, oh, what if I'm on the side where they took 8 words and you said it's not? You know, so you get all kinds of statements and newspaper interviews or TV, and I've got a lot of those. I got a long paper trail, you know, and that's why not being a lawyer helps, because I can really defend it. And lawyers are terrified. If you ever get legal advice, they're conservative and scared. Their main point is, let's not cause any trouble, you know, and I'll say, this is trouble. And I don't know if you want to do it, and I'll explain all the places, and they'll say, no, that's not cause trouble. Don't get sued, you know, so. It's fun. Like any of you with arts management, you're going to come up against arts management legal issues someday, and your expertise and your background, you could be doing what I'm doing in your area. I have this much expertise in your area. I know enough. I teach management. I know some things, but you're the ones who would be really good. Just like, you know, if you sue the homemaker, you know, the guy who built your house, you get a drywall expert. That's not me and probably not most of you, you know, but there's a drywall expert or, you know, a structural engineer. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff. It's a blast, but it can be tough too. You know?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Krista,
And we are.
yeah.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
Take one more question or two since it's not quite 8 o'clock.
Let's go to Kalina.
Yay. So I had a few questions, but I'm gonna try to put it in one.
Okay.
So I'm curious, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but in the gospel industry, I see a lot of people doing covers of songs. Like contemporary will do a song and then it'll be a gospel version of someone else covering it on streaming platforms. And I'm just wondering, like, is this okay to do? Because I see it a lot, and it happens like not just twice, but it's like a whole bunch of different people who cover it, and I feel like they're making money from it.
A cover, yeah, it's a great question. Oh, they are, but the person making the most money from it is the original songwriter. Our copyright law, we give the people 6 rights. I showed you that, right? And then, but we get down to section 106 gives you rights. 107 through 122 start to take away the rights. And 115 says, once you've recorded a song, say I'm looking, there's Brittany. Brittany recorded a song. And as soon as you release it, Brittany, the rest of us are free to make a cover of it. You can't say no. And a cover is really a derivative work. So, and on the one hand, you have the right to say, no, you can't make a derivative. But we say, our government and our law says, okay, we love and respect Brittany, but our culture is better served if 30 people record her song. This 30 versions is better than 1 version. So we take away that right and we give everyone the right to make a cover. And the United States is one of the countries that does it. A few countries don't. But it's cover recording, and there's just a couple you have to pay. You're supposed to pay 9.1 cents for each time it's sold. So you can make a ton of money. Well, Paul McCartney wrote yesterday, there's over 3,000 recordings of it. Each time one of those recordings is sold or performed on any radio, he's paid. I mean, yesterday, all of us tonight, all of you and me, we could all retire successfully from yesterday. And then your friends could retire from yesterday. You know, when a song's played that much and recorded that much. Like the song I played for you, The Turtles, Happy Together, that's the 9th most played song in the world. And yesterday might be number 2. You know, so but anyway, to get back to your thing is, once it's recorded and released to the public, you cannot stop it. Anyone can cover it. Now, here's what can happen. I worked for, what's his name? Donnie McClurkin, one of my first cases. Mary J. Blige came along, and he's got a song called Speak to My Heart, Lord, You Are My Only One. If I Can Be With You, da 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 da. Really cool song, right? And she did a version, and she changed it. She said, "You've got my heart, boy. You are the only one." She turns God into, from God into secular to the guy she's hot for. And McClurkin's publisher was really mad about it, you know, because he took a Christian, a gospel, well, gospel or not, it's Christian, and she changed the words, and you can't do that. So that happens too. I was also in a case one time. I ended up solving it and fixing it for everyone. But it was a song called "Jesus, You Are My Friend," suing "Jesus, You Are My Friend." It's like, oh no. You know, again, that's a nice thought, but it's not original. A lot of people have said, "Jesus, you are my friend," or "Jesus, I want to see you in the afterlife," or whatever they say, you know. So yeah, when a Christian in gospel worlds get very, very litigious, actually. It's really funny. I mean, I've heard things like, "The Lord gave me that song." And then they go, "Oh, like, you can't argue with that, can you?" I mean, you know, you can't prove the Lord gave you a song or the Lord didn't. I won't even go down that road, you know, logic or religion or whatever. Did that answer your question, though?
Yes, it did. So basically, the originator is getting the most money,
Yep.
correct? Okay.
And always does. When it's done for marching band, when it's done for anything, string quartet, you know. And if you write with someone, say you write the words and your friend writes the music, you each own half of the other. So that gets funny. Co-writing gets complicated. Yeah. Suddenly you're a lyricist, even though you didn't write a word. You're half a lyricist. And the lyricist is half a musician. That gets funny too. Other questions?
Well, it is about to be 8 o'clock. We have 1 minute. I did have one question. If we have more questions and we didn't get our answers answered, or our questions answered, can we email you? Can we reach out to you? Can we talk to you? Or how can we go about that?
Yeah, that, you know, have me back. We'll do this again sometime if you want, or if it's helpful, you know.
Oh, great.
I'll think if I can come up with examples that feature more you. Like I did have some sampling. I've been in a ton of sampling cases, like all the big ones, the Bridgeport ones. And I have a proposal that, oh yeah, and I freed We Shall Overcome. That's my favorite accomplishment. But I have a proposal to make sampling way easier and more legal. And I actually got to speak. I'll show you this for a second. This was really cool. The United States Patent and Trademark Office flew down to Nashville, and they asked me and 8 other people to speak for a day and give our opinions on mashups, copyright damages and stuff. They gave me my own little thing, green paper, you know, there it was. And I came up with this cool theory. So this way of settling it. So, I mean, we could get into that, and, you know, I've been in a bunch of fun cases with people. Eminem, I've been on the opposite side of Eminem. When he sued Audi, I worked for Audi. That's a funny one. So, and oh, that USPS one, the creepy clown commercial, that was a Detroit company. It's called Ozone Music. They're really cool. It's a small group of people. And I've never been to their studio, but they like to use me for stuff, and they're great. So yay Detroit, yay Michigan. But yeah, I'll be happy to try to answer things, you know. I get really busy. Tomorrow I do Harvard Law School in the afternoon. There's a ton of stuff coming. I teach 5 classes at Berkeley, which drives me nuts because I only want to teach 2, you know, but the law class I created is popular. So I said, okay, I'll do 3. Then they begged me to do 2 more. I said, oh no. So it's like, it's nuts. It's a busy.
We just have to have you back, Michael.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
Thank you so much for.
You're welcome. I really enjoyed your questions and meeting all of you.
Hey, yeah. And thank you all for coming to this event, all the students that are here. What great questions. And I saw all the questions in the chat if you guys are in my class, and and don't worry about that. I saw them all, even if they weren't asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, again, thanks everyone. I really enjoyed it. And if I can help, let me know. You got a friend in Nashville, so.